NFC. Once upon a time this acronym was almost as awe-inspiring as GTA. And what is now? The two previous parts were released so quietly that now people don't even remember about them. The release of Unbound can definitely be called more loud. The game is being talked about and they say completely different things. Did something good come out of the mix of anime style, hipsters and arcade racing? Jesus could it here. All parts of Need for Speed start either with a stage race on a story car, or with a choice of start your car a stage race on it. In the respect Unbound brings something new. We create our own avatar, who will often appear in the story splash screens and just blabber with everyone. Yes, the plot even with action. In NFC is not the first time. The most wild attempts were in the run and playback. But something so strange has not been yet. During the next after the creation of the hero stage race and in the future, the heroes are constantly talking, like in GTA, but even more often. The problem is that Rockstar's writer wrote caustic, satirical and funny dialogues, in which they revealed the characters, poked fun at them, mocked what was going on in the game and the real world, and just made great jokes. Obviously, that's not the case with Unbound, sadly. I hate to use a label, but a more successful description of the local character and their relationship is a story. Toothless jokes on each other, lack of problems in life, motion of the level I want to hang out with cool people, and an endless stream of some info noise without and an edge with such a set of creator try to place the players to the character, but fortunately dialogues are completely turned off in the settings. Our hero lives in the town of Lakeshore and is friends with owner of the garage Riddle, who pumps vintage and just cool cars. Yes, we won't try to translate the names. Science EA decided not to make another language localization anymore. In general, during the past summer, the hero, together with a girlfriend Yas, restores a vintage car in this garage, starting to hang out with a local cool races. Everything would be fine, but the prologue ends with the fact that our girlfriend Yas, with a group of bad street racers, steals all the vintage cars from Riddle's garage, and the main action starts a few days later. The hero has to climb to local stairs and get to this dumb girl. In general, everything is just like in the original Most Wanted, only the blacklist is not the same anymore. You may ask why the review of the racing arcade starts with complaints about the plot and characters. Well, there's a lot of this in the game, and it takes quite a long time to get the first fluid race. Most of the Need for Speed released after 2020 have one common problem that you must can't anything about. All cars have physics irons glued to the road, which turns with great difficulty. If Hot Pursuit 2020 tried to keep a balance between some realism and arcade, for which it was realized many times away, then in the part that follows is in the Frostbite engine, everything became even worse. For some reason, many journalists and players who tried Unbound decided that the game had new physics. The cars really became much more responsible to the comments, writing to them softer, but the thing is that physics has not changed my science Need for Speed hit. In the new physics cars behave alexly, creating a feel of stretched rubber. It can be felt even by slightly turning the steering wheel, the roar of the cars, as if it goes into a slight skid and the bounces to the position, in which in general and should be a small turn. Because of this there is a feeling that the car is glued to the road and rides on the pipe, by analogy with the way it's done in mobile races like Asphalt 9. This isn't actually the case, and it's easy to fly off the track because there are very few hard bumps in Unbound. If something was changed in the physics compared to Heat, it was sensitivity settings in drifting. Already in the training the game offered to enter the skid not from the handbrake, but from the normal brake. I thought you can do it from the handbrake as well. Basically everything is the same here. Sports cars and serious cars are a little bit more difficult to enter drift that must call with heavy rear, but they are slower and much more inert on the road in general. At the same time, in the first races there's a curious feeling. It seems that physics is not so bad, but you rarely, or not all, get the finish line first. Here another famous Need for Speed series chimp come into play, which appears almost simultaneously with it. It's about coach-up system, in common part, which according to the developer's idea should create a dynamics in race. Its essence is that the leaders of the race is artificially reduced speed, and the laggers added. In theory, it should prevent racers from sketching out on the track and then getting bored alone, but in fact, in old games worked only on bots, which were easy to catch up with, and sometimes they appeared out of nowhere before the finish line. In Unbound, the catch-up is also very taut, but it works in one direction. Your rivals will keep up with you. The diff will enter the corners, hang on the tail and do not drop speed before the finish. First time on weak cars you have to fight for every place in the race results, but who cannot boast of good intelligence and do not go to pose a serious threat. So it's very police. Guardians of law and order strategy around the open world, but have very narrow field of vision, because of which they do not often start the chase, quickly lag behind and in general can only run a little. Cops are not able to cause any special problems, except to stretch the time. After the end of the race, the game informs you that the chase continues and you need to hide from the pursuit. It's not hard to do it, because the streets of Lecture have enough turns. True, you won't find a picturesque subways and sites here. In general, this is a city invented specially for the game, but in general it reminds Miami from Need for Speed. You will have to do the same thing in smoothly performed challenges, pass a section of the track of time, break shields, set speed records in a particular point, and everything is a win. In addition, there were small talks to deliver cars or transport passengers who do not want to meet with the police. At the same time, in Heat, there was a clear concept, where during the day you were a legal racer at sporting events, and the winning vicious street races hunted by the cops. In Unbound, there's virtually no difference between the times of the day. They also add a pinch of session from rivals. To the formula, after winning a race you don't get money immediately, but save it in a separate account, which can be burnt in case of capture. Although a much more likely scenario is to simply lose all your streaks of lives, and lose money because the car crashed. At the same time, there's a minimum of visual damage to the cars. We are not even talking about dents. What to dream about tearing off doors and hoods. Apparently, Latin's car contracts and child rating are to blame. Thus, each sort is clearly divided into leaving the shelter and return to it, creating the notorious seasonality. At the same time, there is no MMO component here. Other players do not drive around the map at this time, and even more so they do not play for the police. Multiplayer is now placed in the separate battle, and for it you even need to create another character. Because of the weakness of the police, it's not easy to lose money, but it's not easy to get money either. You don't pay much here. EA would be EA if didn't introduce gambling mechanics into the game, who in its case is not about loot boxes. For participant in half of the race you need to make advance payment, and often you will not think about earnings and battle about whatever the price cost will be recovered. In addition, you can earn extra money by scoring with one of the races that will eventually beat him and will be higher in the list. Spend the saved money on the cars, as well as a visual and functional tuning. Remember this time when all the upset about the lack of tuning in FPS. This was returned a long time ago, but everyone something quickly forgot about it. Even the same Need for Speed 25, where tuning appears again, no one cared much about it. In general, the system remained almost unchanged compared to Heat. There are also a couple of types of dodgers of each type. Everything can be bought, twisted, repainted, and written on the side anymore. Visuals in general were the main difference between Unbound and the previous installment. Attention in trailers was attracted by all the enemy characters, right arguing about testicles. So we just provide a minimum of objective information. You can completely disable the effect, but some of them are customizable, and among the options there is a simple node selector, However, the enemies in any case will continue to delight with bright colors and flashes. Also nowhere to go and interface in accident covering what is happening on the screen. This is no sense to criticize the soundtrack, which consists of fashionable electronics, tracks of ASAP Rocky and Polish rap. As for it rocks and sweet for driving races, everyone is able to decide for himself. Another thing is that the old part of NFTs, and for example Forza Horizon series, infers with genres or give players a choice. Here you have rock, metal, rap, electronica, hardcore electronics, and even classics. Try to whatever you want. However, nobody prevents you from making your own playlist, disable in-game music and playing the soundtrack by your own efforts, but it creates a necessary inconvenience and spoils the atmosphere convened by the developers. Note that this atmosphere of sparkly stoic party can be spoiled by anything though. What we can talk about more objectively is the graphics. You can think what you want about the effects, but without them the picture hasn't changed by science. Starting with the fact that the same assets are used in same places, and ending with the general problem with the city, in the daytime it looks like a pile of shoeboxes. However, the game looks much prettier at night, as well as part of the NFC of the Frostbite. Apparently only the creator of Need for Speed understood it well. That's why this May is completely night. A separate tribe of rivals and other games on Frostbite was aggressive post-processing. So many filters, grayness and other visual tinsels has not been seen in the series of VR games in general for a long time. However, you can say that about the whole game. In terms of game mechanics, Unbound is absolutely unremarkable, about the same as the previous part of the 3 years ago, but it had already succeeded in attracting attention. It is released only in December 2, and a half of gamers' Twitter is already discussing soy heroes and new physics. In the case of commercial success, it is possible that it will be basic for the next part of the series, and although this is a matter of the distant future, now we can say one thing for sure: Forza Horizon has a much cooler base. Thank you.